Welcome back to another review by Mega Train Lover. Today we're having a look at the first of 5, yep, that's it, 5 models which I got at the London Festival of Railway Modelling. Of course, this is the first time said festival has been held since 2019, for obvious reasons. And the first loco I purchased is, as you can see, by Bachmann, and you can clearly tell it's a Class 812. And this particular one is exclusive to Rails of Sheffield. Rails of Sheffield were at the exhibition selling various different locomotives, and I immediately, as soon as I saw them, I immediately assumed that they would be selling their exclusive products, which includes the LNWR Hardwick, the Southeastern and Chatham D class, and the 812s. And sure enough, I found an 812 there, and I immediately purchased it. It was quite pricey, but it's well worth the money in my opinion. Anyway, so as you can see, the locomotive is not in the box. I've taken it out, I've given it a run in, I've fitted some of the details that are given with the model, but basically I'm just going to show you the model itself. To start with, I'm going to turn to the side. Its product code is 35-283Z, Caledonian Class 812, number 57566, in British Railways black with the laid crest, produced exclusively for rails. And it does say DCC ready with a Next 18 decoder, but as mentioned, I have already fitted it with a decoder. If we turn to the back, you can see you get tons of information about the class, but to basically just recap on the history, these were built by the Caledonian Railway to the design of John Mackintosh, and most of them were built at St Rollock's Works, which were the main works for the Caledonian Railway, though some of them were built by Dubbs & Co, Nielsen and Sharp Stewart. They were built between 1899 and 1909, and in total there were 96 of them built. They were primarily built for goods work, however, later on they were fitted with Westinghouse air pumps, and they were able to haul passenger trains as well. But they were particularly good with boat trains, and the engines, for goods engines, they could reach speeds of up to 55 miles an hour, which might not seem like a lot, but for a goods engine, that's pretty impressive. These predated the 9Fs by, well, what was it, half a century really. 9Fs were known as being goods engines that could have a good turn of speed. So were these. Now they had relatively regular working lives. They all passed into the LMS at the time of grouping in 1923, when of course the Caledonian Railway and all of its stock engines were passed into the LMS, and I believe the majority of them, give or take a few, did pass into BR ownership, but the last ones were withdrawn in the early 1960s. And out of the 96 built, only one of them has been preserved, number 828, which is preserved appropriately enough at the Strathspey Railway up in Aviemore, which is in Scotland, up in the Highlands. It's on the Highland Main Line between Perth and Inverness. And it is rather a shame that only out of over 1,000 engines built by the Caledonian, only 3 survive into preservation. However, we need to appreciate what we have, appreciate the fact that we do have, Caledonian engines preserved at all, because, the worst case scenario is we wouldn't have any at all. So we have at least one of these preserved, number 828. Anyway, the next thing is I'm going to put the box to one side, and the locomotive itself, I'm going to bring it very, very gently because it is a very delicate model. The loco is right here. Wow. Wow. Just look at her. It's absolutely beautiful. I mean, for such a basic livery, they've really pulled it off. The detail more than makes up for that. It's absolutely amazing. Just to note, these headlights, they came with the model. I fitted those myself. The coupling and this brake pipe, I fitted that too. But apart from that, I mean, it just looks the part. Now, as you probably guessed, the tender and the engine are connected by 2 wires and this bar, which I'm not a big fan of this arrangement, but you know, you just have to be careful basically. And there's a lot of fine details which you do need to be really wary of when you're handling this model. But I mean, it is just absolutely beautiful. Let's start at the front. You get sprung buffers, and that's on both the engine and the tender as well. Although the tender buffers seem to be a bit sticky, but that's fine. And just look at the face. That is a typical, if it focuses, there we go, that is a typical Caledonian Railway designed smokebox door. It's absolutely amazing. One thing I really love is the way they've actually modelled the internal valve gear. Obviously it doesn't move, I mean that would be really cool, although I don't think, you know, the technology's there yet. But you know, the fact that they've put something in there rather than just, you know, having a bare metal chassis is really good. Now, one thing you may notice is this line at the bottom of the boiler. Basically the decoder goes in the loco, and so the decoder's basically there, and the motor as well. So when you remove the body, the bottom part of that boiler still remains, because the motor basically sits on top. So you know, that has to be there. Although, you know, if you look at it from up top, it's not too noticeable, so it's not too bad. You can see you get the safety valves and you get the whistle, and just look at the cab. I mean, you know, this is an open cab, so you'd expect that level of detail. It's absolutely beautiful, and an amazing feature is the fact that the firebox does actually glow. And that will be shown when I come to running this engine. You see, you get the full plate there, which is really nice. And when I talk about fine detail, I'm talking about this particular pipe here is very flimsy. So you know, you do have to be really careful with this model. But let's turn to the other side, very gently. There we go. Right. Okay, yep, that's absolutely fine. So, and you see the other side is just as impressive. I think the tender's just uncoupled there slightly, but I'm just going to fix that slightly. Fix that. I'll deal with it later, it's fine. Just going to be careful. But as you can see, it looks just as nice. There's its number, 57566. You get the reversing rod modelled there very well. And one thing, and the builder's plate is very nice, very legible. One thing which I have noticed is the fact that it says LMS on there. It does say St. Rollox Works. I think that says 1899, maybe 1898. No, 1899. The earliest these would have been built is 1899. But it's a bit cheeky how the LMS put their own builder's plate on the locos. Obviously that would have said Caledonian Railway pre-grouping, but never mind. You know, at least on the model it's represented, which is really nice. So we've covered the cab. Here's the tender. The tender is just as nice. You get a coal load there, which is removable, so you can fit your own coal there. You get the British Railways laid crest. You get the sprung buffers, which we have covered. You get separately fitted lamp irons on both the rear of the tender and also the front of, on the front of the engine. And you get the handbrake there, which is picked out. This is a really nice touch. If it focuses, hopefully. The camera's having a bit of trouble focusing today. There we go. You can see the handbrake there very clearly. So yeah. Now, as mentioned, the decoder of the loco goes in the engine, which is a bit unusual because that's something which hasn't been in the market for about 10 years or so. You know, it's about 10 years out of date having decoders in the engines. But basically in the tender you get the speaker if you have a DTC sound fitted version, and also of course the wires are there to enable the tender to pick up current, which is really good for performance. But yeah, so overall it is a fantastic locomotive. But looks may be one thing. Let's just see how she performs. So here we have the Bachmann ex-Caledonian Railway 812 on the track. And the first thing I'm going to show you is just bring the controller, and if you press function and 1, that activates the firebox glow, which you can just see in there. It works really well, as you can see. That is a very nice feature. You can see, yep, you can clearly see the firebox glow in there, and you can see it running along. As you can see, it's a pretty open cab. But anyway, the next thing we're going to do is give her some speed and watch her run. And away she goes. Wow. She's running quite fast. I've got the controller at 11, but she's got quite a nice turn of speed. Let me slow her down slightly. Yeah, that's better. Wow. Yeah, for just like the real thing, for a goods engine, she's got a very nice turn of speed. Now let's see a few shots of her passing. So yeah, as you can see, she's running really well. Cordless motor inside works very well. But yeah, overall, I can't really complain about the performance or even the looks. It is a really nice looking model. So just to conclude this video, I definitely recommend her. Now you could say that, for such a relatively small loco, the price of it is really expensive. But for me, I think it is worth it, because it is a really nicely detailed model, and yeah, there's nothing that I can say really. Plus, it is a model which has been a long time coming. It was announced quite a few years ago, and it was finally released. Absolutely beautiful. Really impressed with this model. Definitely one of the best Bachmann locos available. Anyway, thanks very much for watching this review, and see you in the next video. Goodbye.